I'm getting some very, very unpalatable news here. I'll come back to it for you to continue the. If you're watching us, there is this breaking news coming up. So let's just get to it. This is very sad. I must tell you, this is very, very sad. And breaking news coming from Metro TV is that the first lady of the first. I'm actually confused. That's the former first lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. So she was the first lady in the Fourth Republic. So that's what I was trying to say. The first lady of the beginning of the Fourth Republic, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, has passed. That's the news which is just reaching us. It is sad. It is very, very, very sad for me. I'm just being told by my producer, and I can't seem to fathom or to hold myself together. I had the opportunity to report from the house, from everywhere. What it is that we are currently following up with the news to make sure that it is as it is. We are able to properly and fully confirm it. But that's the news which is currently going around. It's the breaking news as it is going around. The very first lady for the beginning of the First Republic, the Fourth Republic of Ghana, former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. She was the wife to our former President, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, who passed on during the COVID, and it was a very sad sight or news to behold. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was born on the 17th of November 1948. So if you would want to calculate her age will be about 71 years. So she was born on 17th November 1948, a Ghanaian politician. She's currently a widow because I announced to you that she 76 years. So the age is 76 years. From 1948 to 2025 is 76 years. And she was a Ghanaian politician, of course, a widow to former President Jerry John Rawlings. She was also the First Lady of Ghana from June 1979 to the 24th of September 1979. That was the around the military periods and so on and so forth, till we began the Fourth Republic. And from the 31st of December 1981 to the 7th of January 2001. In 2016, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings became the first woman in the country, here Ghana, to run for president. You remember that she was a member of the National Democratic Congress. Her husband, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, is the founder of the current ruling government, the National Democratic Congress, and she was a wife. That's how come she was the very first lady to the beginning of the Fourth Republic. And I mean, all of us, everybody in the country, most of the people, especially those who follow politics, have had to either learn from her or have an encounter, not directly, maybe an indirect encounter on TV, on radio, on observation, or however, with her. She's trained a lot of people, the 31st December women, and so on and so forth. She's somebody that has a record in the political history of Ghana. So she became the very first woman to run for president in Ghana. In 2018, she launched her book titled "It Takes a Woman." And she's been in the Ghanaian political space. Everybody has followed her. Let me tell you a bit about her early life and education. So Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was actually born in Cape Coast in the central region of Ghana, November 17, 1948. If you have just tuned in and you've seen the former First Lady's picture on Metro TV, it is reported that very unfortunately, the breaking news we are bringing to you is that very unfortunately, the First Lady, former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings has passed. The production team, including our MD himself, is really on the ground now, making sure that what we are giving you is properly confirmed. But that's the breaking news as we bring you this afternoon. Very, very unfortunate. And this year has seen a lot. This year has seen a lot for the people that we get around, for the people that we see, and for the people that we interact with. This year has really seen a lot. Let me tell you a bit about the early life of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, as I said, was born in the Central Region, Cape Coast, 1948, to J.O.T. Agyeman and his wife. She attended Ghana International School, and later she moved to Achimota School. Lots of us know her and her affiliation and association with the Achimota School, where she met her future husband at the time, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. That's at the time when she had moved to Motown, Achimota School. She went on to study art and textiles at the University of Science and Technology. We call it the KNUST. She was a student leader of her Hall of Residence, Africa Hall. So for all of you who have gone to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, and especially the women who have been in the Africa Hall, you've had the former First Lady being through the Africa Hall herself. In 1975, she earned an interior design diploma from the London College of Art. So she further pursued the education over the next couple of years, acquiring a diploma in advanced personnel management from Ghana's Management, Development and Productivity Institute. A lot of us know it as MDPI. This was in 1979, and a certificate in development from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. A lot of us also know it as GIMPA in 1991. She later went to Johns Hopkins and received a certificate for Fellows Program in Philanthropy and Non-Profit Organization. Let's see, as a First Lady, what she had been known for when she became the First Lady. So, Agyeman-Rawlings, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, her husband affectionately called her Nana. For those of you who experienced His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, even when he had ended his tenure as president, he had still been involved very much in the politics of the country. And so the NDC, even the NPP, all the political parties that are currently in existence and had been in existence, we can confidently say that most of these people or most of these political institutions have had some inspiration to draw from Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings and her husband, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. And of course, I'm sure political historians can actually attribute the current democracy that we are all enjoying here in the country as of today, especially in this Fourth Republic. We can attribute, if not entirely, a greater portion of it to this couple who had transitioned from the PNDC to the NDC and allowed elections to go on from 1992. That's where and how we have the 1992 Constitution, which came into effect and, of course, allowed governance. And then he had been president, and she also had been the First Lady until 2000, the year 2000, when John Agyekum Kufuor won the elections in December 6th, and on January 7th, 2001, John Agyekum Kufuor took over the reins. I remember when I was young and I was watching TV, and His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings and Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, as we're seeing her now, in her beautiful kente, clad in kente at the time, was taking John Agyekum Kufuor around at the time, the castle. That was the seat of government. And it was a beautiful sight to behold. It acclaimed, or it won the country Ghana the world acclaim of peace, the peaceful transition. That's what the first time we had a very peaceful transition of one democratic government, a political party which has been elected democratically into governance, into another political party which was also elected into governance, a handover, a very peaceful handover that we had seen happened in the year 2001. And it was done by His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, ably supported by Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And we all enjoyed that and have been enjoying that. I think that became the pillar and the reference points for every political party who now wins power to stay on and give us a smooth transition when you lose. That happened in the year 2008 when the NPP had lost power. They had to, based on the smooth transition they had received from His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings and, of course, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, also hand over power to Professor J.E.A. Mills in the year 2009, the 7th of January, after the elections, December 6th. So in 2008, we had two elections. First was the general elections and the parliamentary elections, which happened on the 7th of December 2008. And then we had to go on a runoff. We remember the Tyne incident when all the stories around Tyne to be the decision maker of who had actually won the elections. But remember, at the time, the NDC already had the majority in parliament, so their campaign was excellent and was easy to garner the votes of the masses for the presidential candidate, who was Professor J.E.A. Mills at the time, and he was declared after the runoff on the 27th, I think 27th or 28th of December. He won the elections, and on the 7th of January, he took over the reins of power for the country. That again went on, and His Excellency, the President John Dramani Mahama, when we had the unfortunate demise of Professor J.E.A. Mills, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took over for 3 months, and then we went into an election, he won, and then in 2016, there was another smooth transition to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Currently, we have had one more smooth transition to His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama once again. And all of this, as we talk about, can be referenced to His Excellency the President Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings and the First Lady, as we see, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. I'm sure that our reporters would quickly be trooping into the house of the former First Lady. If we get there and we hear any news or we see anything, we are here. We'll be bringing you up to speed on that. The unfortunate news which has happened currently, as we report to you, is that the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, has passed on. And it's a very sad, a very, very sad situation that this is difficult, a very difficult moment. And it is not for her political party only. I'm sure the entire fraternity of the National Democratic Congress will be mourning. That of the New Patriotic Party will be mourning as well. Everybody, and she's a statesman. Apart from her political party, she's still a statesman. So she first came, her first term as First Lady had come after her husband served as military head of state briefly in 1979. And that's what I had spoken to you about. He returned to power in a military coup in 1981 and ruled until 1992. So we had gone into or through the PNDC period when he was elected now in 1992 as a civilian president. So take note, in 1992 as a civilian president. He served 2 terms of 4 years, leaving office in 2001. She has been the president of 31st December Women's Movement in 1982. I think let's get on the line. Let's get on the line. There are political historians that we can speak to. I'm told that I have on the line, or we are trying to get Dr. Asante Ochre, who is a political lecturer. We'll get him pretty shortly and we'll speak to him what this means for the country. This year, and I'll ask Alaji. Alaji is in here. This year, we've lost very key people, very, very key people. I'm very saddened by the people we've lost this year. One of the very people I respect so much, Dr. Manibuama, had gone. My own very good friend, Murtala Muhammad, my very, very, very good friend. Every time he sees me, Akwesi, now show. Akwesi, let's do this. Akwesi, every time, Akwesi, Murtala Muhammad. And very affable, very, tell you, your people, that's how Murtala Muhammad would always embrace you and react to you and get around you. Murtala is gone. We had notable men in the National Democratic Congress gone. Even this year, we've had members of parliament of the NPP. We can see the young lawyer who had just gotten into parliament also passed. And now, what we are seeing is Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Let me just give people a bit of a background as well. So I spoke to you, or I read to you about her drive for women empowerment, her drive for women inclusion, her drive for gender sensitivity by the leadership of the country. And so that was a goal of the movement she had formed, described as the 31st December Women's Movement. And she was the president. So she described the movement as a broad-based, development-oriented, non-governmental organization that aspires to achieve these objectives through the effective mobilization of women. So, as Alaji had said, and as Doc had said, she is the pioneer, she's the champion, she's the goalpost of women empowerment associations, women empowerment organizations, women empowerment formations here in the country. And that's just who she is. And she's been like that the whole of her life. In addition, her movement, 2 million strong, has set up more than 870 preschools in Ghana here alone. She's worked actively to stir up interest for the accomplishment of child development and family planning. And as Alaji was talking about, Ghana's former First Lady, Her Excellency, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, as she was called, had said that she would continue to work in the women's movement even if her husband was no more. And of course, as her husband had passed on, she still continued her work, but quietly. She continued her work quietly. So a bit of a background again. Her husband had led a military coup that seized power in 1981, although he was not established as the head of state until the following year. The country successfully, and this is where I am particular about, the country successfully reverted to civilian rule in 1992 and had free elections, calling the First Lady an instrumental part of the revolution in Ghana's economy. The Baltimore Afro-American reported that women were Ghana's largest labor force. Well, so these are snippets of some of the things that we are talking about, as you see on the screen. The Baltimore Afro-American reported that women were Ghana's largest labor force, and they wanted to be a central part of the country's redevelopment. Before December 31, 1981, they had no power to influence in law or politics, even the laws that pertain to them. It was a grassroots movement, the women selling their land, clothes, and jewelry to get money. She's also a champion of women's rights. So in the early 1980s, a few women approached her wanting to form a women's organization, but after a few meetings, little happened. She said that after asking the women what they wanted to do as an organization, quote, "It was clear that we had to start with things that would earn money to develop their communities in the social sector," unquote. So when the women had met her, and I'll repeat this, about the formation of organization and so on and so forth. Look at the interest of this woman at the time. She says it was clear that we had to start with things that would earn her money, or would earn money, not her, would earn money to develop the communities of these local women who had come to her to come together to form movements. So most of the women wanted things like water. The movement taught Ghanaian women how to generate income and save money for community projects. It encouraged them to become part of the decision-making process in their villages and explained policies of health and education. It offered an adult literacy program to teach them to read and write. The majority of women could not do either. 2 early marriages among female children were discouraged, and programs were offered on nutrition and immunization. This is the profile of the woman we are talking about. In 1991, through the efforts of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, Ghana became the very first nation to approve the United Nations Conventions on Human Rights, on Rights of the Child. In 1991, through the efforts of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, Ghana became the very first nation to approve United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. Via the movement, Mrs. Rawlings also played a crucial role in the adoption of an interstate succession law. And I'm sure all of you who are watching us this hour, if you have heard about it, if you're a lawyer and you know it, if you're a young person and you don't know what an interstate succession law is, maybe from today you may want to read it there. Maybe for a want of better words, because we are on TV, let me choose my words carefully. I was going to say the husbands who had cheated their wives out of their properties or overtaken their properties, and their families had overtaken the properties the couples had built together. This was the inception of a law that was going to protect partners who were couples and their children and even their extended family in an equitable share of the properties. And so it is saying here that via the movement, Mrs. Rawlings also played a crucial role in the adoption of an interstate succession law, which is applicable to the survivors of anyone dying without a will. Traditionally, Ghanaian women had little or no rights of inheritance upon the death of their husbands. The new law provided a standard of inheritance. Elijah, I think that maybe most people have underestimated the relevance of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings in the political history of the country. At least for the Fourth Republic.
Not
some
that,
of the things that she has done.
I don't believe that people underestimated it. No, it is. I really blame it on some of us, especially publishers, writers, and what have you. In other jurisdictions, Advocacy, we should have gotten individuals who are closer to her to suggest to her. By now, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the late, should have gotten not less than 10 books. Yes, 10 books that should give us her relationship with the former President J.J. Rawlings, how it all started. Then we'll move to when the husband became a democratic leader or maybe an autocratic leader for that period of time. She needs to have a book for that. She must also have a book that would demonstrate how 31st December women came into being. And then when she became the first lady under 8 years of her husband as a democratic ruler. And then even after the demise of her husband, at least we should have gotten a book that she will give us a narrative. Why would she become muted? Why is she not going to talk about politics again and what have you? Even people would even want to read about why she chickened out from the NDC. These are things that we should have gotten people to have written something of this nature so that the young up-and-coming will come and read. You see, so Advocacy, who do you blame here? It is not that people have underestimated her. For me, I think that one thing that for me, and I'm happy Doc also had wanted to veer into that, but he stopped. That I was not really happy when she formed her own party. No, she has gone beyond that limit. Those who were with her should have really informed her that, look, you've gone beyond forming your personal party because you are part and parcel of the founders of NDC. But that is gone. Let's forget about that. But I'm saying that people will never underestimate her if indeed we have verifiable document or books to read about her. Yes. People will read and understand who the woman is. Even it is now that she'll be celebrated more than when she's alive.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. The entire crew here, including our guest this afternoon, has been hit by this news. I'm sure you being a historian, you knowing what has transpired pre-92 and post-92, you must be hit as well.
Sure, certainly.
Mm-hmm. And how are you taking it?
Oh, it's very unfortunate. The life of, or I would say it was the life of a very illustrious woman. And I feel so sad because you mentioned history. This was a woman who could be praised as one having the longest service as First Lady of Ghana, about 19 years. And then we don't have to forget that for her, she served one chunk as a military leader's wife, a military dictator's wife, and then the other side of the coin being a civilian president's wife. The sad aspect, and why I'm so worried, is the fact that with all this experience, our mother Konadu Agyeman should have written about 3 or 4 books, so that today we would have the opportunity of going through. Unfortunately, she didn't do that, and that is why I believe she was indebted. She will forever be indebted to us. That aside, I believe that it's a very unfortunate thing to happen to any human being.
Okay, so yeah, let me ask you this. I maybe a bit sensitive, but let me ask you. There are the school of thought that the wives of presidents we've had in the country are only for the aesthetics or for the formation of non-governmental organizations, that you would never see or hear anything of them until they come into power, and then you see these organizations coming up. For you and for her, who had been under the military ruling and had also been within the civilian, how relevant is Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings to the Ghanaian politics?
Konadu Agyeman will forever remain relevant because let's start from Madam Fataya, Kwame Nkrumah's wife, up to which one? Dr. Hilla Liman's wife, Fulera. You will say that they were just nominal politicians or nominal first ladies. All of them. They were nominal first ladies. It was Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings who founded the 31st December Women's Movement as more or less playing the role of a shadow prime minister during the period when her husband ruled the country. And the woman was extremely active everywhere. There was a time she even led the whole country to the Beijing conference. You know, it was a conference for all women in the world. And the woman led the Ghana delegation. And I'm saying that it was after Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings had laid the foundation, had, as the accounts we say, you know, after she haven't cleared the path, then others like Mrs. Kofour also came to walk in. What did she do? She founded the Mother and Child Foundation. Then Lodina Foundation.
Yes.
You know, they came, yes, everybody comes with a certain NGO of some sort, all because they were copying Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. So she was a pioneer, true first lady of Ghana. Nobody can take that from her. Nobody. can take that from her. She was more active than every one of them. And those who came founding NGOs were copying her, because before her were people like Fatia, and then what's the Afri first wife, this one, all of them, name them, Liman's wife, General Champion's wife. Nobody founded an NGO, and so they merely played roles like kitchen women, if I should put it that way.
Yes.
And then Konadu Agyeman came to the scene and decided to make herself extremely active, to the extent that even after her husband had left the presidency because his term of office was over, the woman felt that she could also be a president of Ghana and contested the NDC primaries. So nobody can write her off in the history of this country. Let me say that she even founded a political party, which is still a registered political party in Ghana, the National Democratic Party. So nobody can write her off as far as the history of Ghana is concerned.
How would you describe her influence also in the governance of the politics of the country, especially during the reign of her husband, when the husband was, at least within the period of her husband being the civilian president, 1992 to 2000, some people had felt, and you mentioned kitchen cabinet, that she was in charge.
That people believe that, yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, if you can hear me, I'm asking you about whether she
I can hear you now.
Some people have speculated 1992 to 2000.
Yeah, if it was from 92 to 2000, she was a first lady, but that was the time she should have been more active with the 31st December women's movement, because that was a civilian era. Unfortunately, during that period, our mother Konadu Agyeman started becoming dormant. Rather, it was the military era from 31st December 1981 up to 1992, which was a dictatorial period, a very bad period, where she had, I would say, if you are giving Rawlings a bad name, she would also have 50% of it. That was rather the time that she really shone and glowed as a first lady, because there's a saying that behind every successful man is a woman. If her husband very successfully ran the country from that rough era in the history of Ghana, 31st December 1981 up to 1992, this was the power behind him, then nobody can give her a discredit. She was okay, yes. But as you have rightly said, it is very difficult to credit her as an acceptable great woman. It's very difficult because Ghanaians know, and it was in the Special Investigations Board report. It also appeared in the National Reconciliation Commission settings that the very key that was taken to be used to drive the car, to start the car, that eventually led the 3 judges and the army officers to their last journey, was collected from her. And a person who knows history such as I am can never praise Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings without bringing in that story. That will make me a very biased person. Because if we are going to execute people, to kill people, to murder innocent blood, to shed innocent blood, let me put it that way, and then the vehicle that would drive them to the grounds where they were shot, we had the ignition key from you, then you can never tell anybody in this world that you are 100% innocent. But be that as it may, nobody asks her questions on those allegations, so she dies with that.
Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings duly elected as the flag bearer of the NDP.
I was talking about people over politics. And today, 2016, I will say it again, that I have never been one to do what is just popular over what is right. Because I am and will always be guided by a moral obligation to support the needs of the people over the interests of politics. Yes, people over politics. That is what our party stands for. That's the NDP, National Democratic Party, founded on the belief of placing people and the needs of the ordinary Ghanaian at the center of our nation's development. Placing people at the center of development means reclaiming the meaning of genuine citizens' democracy, where the best ideas are harnessed at the community level rather than the current top-down mode of governance that has deprived our communities of their freedom of self-actualization. It is our patriotic duty as citizens of Ghana not to make room for government complacency at all. And we should not make room for government incompetence. We should not. Indeed, the NDP is an all-inclusive party. I believe that the fabric of any strong nation is unity among its people. I also believe that the common good of Ghana outweighs any personal ethnic affiliations. It is not about ambition. Even though ambition is good, but personal ambition at the detriment of the country is bordering on criminality. We need to return Ghana to the principles upon which our independence was fought for. We need to return to the roadmap upon which we march towards development. We need to redesign the blueprint of our country. True transformation and true transformative change is the only progress that we are seeking in Ghana. Every sector is in a turmoil, and we have all become silent participants in this degradation. It is our responsibility to build a country that gives each individual an equal opportunity. We need equal opportunity. It is our responsibility to give power to leaders who have a vision and the common good of Ghana at heart. Before I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, in this election year, when the word peace is mentioned, certain truisms and facts which are undeniable must be adhered to. These are the foundations of peace, because peace is an action word. Let us join hands and lift our country, lift it so high up and boldly before everybody, so we can confront all the negativities facing our country today. NDP I was going to say something else. NDP, our Ghana, our rights. NDP, our nation, our future.